Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good in the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Zach, and we got a great show today where we're going to be exploring the adventure of life overseas through European adventures and a bunch more, but I'm going to explain that a little bit later on. But until then, Rafe is joining me as always, and he's got some exciting things to talk about.
Zach, I have a number of exciting things to talk about, and those of you who are listening carefully may recognize that my voice sounds a little bit different today. It's not because I had surgery again. No, I've never had surgery there, but what's different is I'm actually in the studio with Zach in our Minnesota affiliate office. So we are coming to you in the same studio again. Now, the last time we did this, we got close to fisticuffs, but it never actually happened. So, and no, stop. Okay, so we are in the same studio, and that's very exciting. I want to start the way I always start. I got to thank you guys for listening. It's a wonderful honor to know that we are coming through the glory of the internet into your ears, and we are appreciative of your time, and we'll try to get right on it so we don't waste any of that of yours. Thanks to you, listeners, the Bufnagle podcast is now officially recognized as a global top 10 podcast. We have you guys to thank for that. So please keep listening, keep sending your friends, and we will keep making free episodes. As usual, feel free to contact us at bufnagle@bufnagle.com, legal@bufnagle.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, all sorts of other places. If you need us to be on a special place out on the interweb land, we'll figure out how to get there. Just let us know. If you are new to our podcast, welcome. Thanks for coming. We are glad you are here. We're going to ask one thing of you. We are going to ask that you give us 4 episodes, and we will give you a reason to come back for more. And remember, like I said before, tell a friend to listen, and you will get a free episode. And for those of you who subscribe, and everybody should, that really helps us. And if you can subscribe and give us one of those good reviews, if you happen to be using Apple podcast machine, a 5-star review helps us a lot, and a nice review is great. Now, if you're tempted to write a bad review, what I'm going to encourage you to do is take that, write it on a sheet of paper, fold it up really small, and then burn it. But if you have a good review, then I would like you to take it and type it into the interweb machine so all your friends can see it. That helps us a lot. So, Zach, that's where we are. We have a wonderful special guest today. Am I right?
We do. We do have a wonderful special guest. This week we're being joined from Memphis, Tennessee, from a family friend of ours, Julianna Greene. She is an expert in traveling overseas and exploring London. She is a London Underground aficionado, as far as I know. She is one of the most joyous, entertaining, and enlightened people that I know, and always a pleasure, and just overall just makes everything better just by having her around.
You know what she's like? She's kind of like powdered sugar, right? Like any dessert you have, you put powdered sugar on it, it's better. It's like any conversation with Juju involved is better.
See, I'm going to take that one step further. It's like pancakes with bananas and strawberries on top. It adds a little sweetness, makes it a little bit better, and everybody's just happy.
Sweetness and happiness. And Juju is here with us. Juju, how are you?
Hello. Happy to be here. This is awesome. I am fantastic. Reporting live from Memphis, Tennessee, as you said. And, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. I'm just happy to be here. So honored to be on this podcast with you guys. And I so appreciate the introduction. Thank you. Definitely hope to match the description that you guys shared. So this is great.
So one reason, so we go way back, you and I and Zach, but you go back even farther with a previous guest of ours, with Olivia. You and Olivia actually were roommates there at Samford University of America in Birmingham. Is that right?
That is right. Shout out to Olivia Mary Rose, a loyal listener. And I have to say, I would not have thought that here she was, a random roommate that I did not meet until day one, stepping into what would have been called, and we did call after, Happy Room 308, the place where there was always sunshine, flowers, matching coffee mugs, and our little hugging circle. Who would have thought that here we are 7 years later on this podcast with her father and brother? So yeah, and yeah, we definitely still keep in touch. Very, very special friend for sure.
Right. So now you guys were at Samford, University of America, for a year together, and then you went and you did a year or a semester of study abroad somewhere abroad.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, back whenever I was choosing colleges, one of my top criteria, back whenever my dad had me fill out an Excel sheet with pros and cons, what I was looking for in a college.
Dad mode, right? That is what dads do, right?
Let's appreciate this for a moment. Julianna, when she was filling out her college application, created an Excel spreadsheet, did all the work and stuff like that. And then her roommate, pretty sure I think she threw a dart at the wall, and whatever state it ended up in is where she went to school.
It was close to that. So I don't think this dad mode required Olivia to do the spreadsheet, but a hat tip there to the Raj for having you make the spreadsheet to end up at Samford, University of America.
That's right. We were all about it. So one of the top criteria for me was definitely a strong study abroad program, because I got to tell you guys that ever since I can remember, I've long been fascinated by British accents, European accents, and just the whole British culture. Tea time, everything like that. I was all about it. Knew about the history, kings and queens. Yeah. So I think for me, whenever I was choosing colleges, and then Samford was high on the list, they had a reputation for that kind of program. So I knew immediately that I wanted to get the first freshman year in, and then I wanted to start thinking about studying abroad. So I chose to actually study abroad the fall of my sophomore year, which actually was really early compared to other people who wanted to go junior, senior year, but I wanted to get right on it. I was super eager. So that's whenever I was en route that year after freshman year to London. That's where I went. So
you, all right. So most people go, like, you went a year. Does anybody ever, were you tempted to go 2? Does that ever happen?
Well, so I actually went just for the semester. So there was I would have loved to have gone a full year, but that unfortunately, just credit wise and just the way that it laid out with the, classes that you take over there, there's only a certain number that you can take for that semester.
So most study abroad programs, like, I mean, if you're like, it's a liberal arts thing, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to go there and study calculus, because you can do that anywhere, right? What's important about the study abroad programs is the fact that you are in a different place and you're learning things that are unique to that place, and not doing something directly related to your major.
Yeah, I mean, there's the cultural impact that you're going to a different place, you're immersing yourself in that culture, you're engaging with that culture, and you get to learn something, or maybe not, depending on who you are. But there's going to be that additional piece of education, and education is not always the academic things we do. It is sometimes the cultural pursuits that we do, like your trip to London.
So what courses did you do there? What did you take?
Right. So I took British Heritage and Culture. That was one of my most favorite classes that I took, as well as theater appreciation and art appreciation. And then the last one that I took was biblical perspectives, which that was a part of the Samford curriculum. But anyway, it was really cool. All that is to say, we actually had a lot of different professors that came in from the surrounding area. So outside of London, throughout England. And it was really special, just like you guys said, very much hands-on. I mean, just going into the countless museums there, you just walk into, time travel experience. You're going back in time, and such rich culture.
Wait. You went back in time. So not only study abroad, it was study across time.
Exactly.
Study across time and space, technically, because you moved across space by going to
space
England.
Time. So there was a lot of physics. So you took physics.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Okay. Kings and queens. So we don't have a king and a queen. But
we did way back in 1776.
Back in the day before we what did we say?
Succeeded.
Yeah, we must remove ourselves from this. So what's your view of the monarchy is getting it's becoming very divisive, right? People are lining up on one side or the other of the British monarchy, and there's something about Americans that sometimes some of us really, really love the monarchy, and some of us have no idea. Well, we pretty much know the difference between a king and a queen, but that's about it. So what's your take on the monarchy? There are no wrong answers.
Sure. Well, I definitely would say I'm in the camp that has a fascination with the monarchy. And I was always just very intrigued by their way of life that's so different from what we can even imagine. So I would say the fact that they are very much symbols of British history and, what they experience, the British people, they know that there's the queen and she's a long reigning queen, as we know. And then there's the family and the traditions that she has. And so I was actually really close back whenever I lived at the Daniel House. We were in Kensington, which was an 18-minute walk from Kensington Palace, which is where the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge would live. They actually lived there at that time. And so I would frequently go to Kensington in hopes of having a run-in with one of the royal members of the family, if not them or their children, who were frequently seen strolling around with their nanny at the parks there. And then I would often go to Buckingham Palace, maybe wanting to see the queen waving from her window or something like that. So I would say that I would count myself as a huge fan.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with the movie National Treasure 2, but they go to Buckingham Palace and they sneak into Buckingham Palace and they take a piece of something from the queen's table or something. Did you ever get to do something that exciting?
I wish I could say I did, but no. Can't say.
It was worth a shot.
Okay, so do you have any? We used to call them in grad schools. We used to call them brushes with greatness, right? Although our definition of greatness was subtly different than other people's. I mean,
so a brush for greatness is you just by being in the same room as me,
right? I can say I did a podcast with Zach, right? So, and Juju, you would have that now too. That would be your brush with greatness. But so did you have any brushes with greatness with the with the royal family?
That was one of my goals. So ended up being there. So I can say now that I was there almost 2 years. And I think weekly, it was always at the top of my calendar. Please, this was my goal for the week, in addition to, excelling in my schoolwork, academic stuff. But I would be like, this is the week that I want to see the queen, or I want to see Prince Philip, or, even a cousin that could still say that they're a part of the royal family. But no, that never happened.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned that, because about 30 years ago this week, all right, I had probably what would be called a second order brush with greatness. So my wife has an odd brush with greatness that I got it. Okay. So we had gotten married about 30 years ago, like last week. And on our honeymoon, we happened to be in Baltimore, and we were at the baseball game watching the Orioles play. I think it was the A's. And well, I think so.
I don't remember the game.
Well, you weren't there. Okay. So, so we're there, but it turns out the Queen happened to be in Washington that week. All right. And for some reason, the Queen went to the ball game. Maybe she found out we were going to be there. I don't know, but she went to the game. And while she was at the game, at one point, it's like the middle of fifth inning. Okay. And my wife says, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I was like, I will stay here. So I stayed in the seats, and she wandered out, and she was gone like a long time, like fifth inning, sixth inning. She comes back like a lot of outs later. And I said, what's going on? She said, well, I went out to the concourse to use the restroom, and there were like Secret Service guys all over the place. And then they wouldn't let us into the bathroom because the Queen was using the bathroom. All right. And so after she was done, she hustled out of there, and we saw her go. And then we got to go use the bathroom. And so I went and did that. And then I came back and I said, wait a minute. So you used the same bathroom as the Queen? And she said, yes, I did. And I said, well, how many stalls were there? And she said, well, there were 6 stalls. So it's very interesting, because I'm pretty sure that the probability that you've used the same stall as the Queen is like 0. Right. And there are some people that know for certain that they've used the same stall as the Queen. But my wife is one of these very rare people that has a non-0 or 1 probability of using the same stall as the Queen. Hers is like 1 in 6. So that's kind of my secondhand brush with greatness.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned baseball, so I'm going to have to ask this to you, Juju. So British culture does not have baseball. Instead, they are more focused on soccer, rugby, and cricket. So what was your kind of experience comparing maybe American sports culture to British sports culture, or just that culture in general? And this maybe some reflections on it. I mean, I know this is not something we discussed in our pre-production meeting, but just an idea I had in my head that I think
Right.
it's a really cool conversation we can have about these cultural type of impacts that bring people together in different ways.
Absolutely. I really like that question. I mean, as a self-proclaimed sociologist, I really love the study of people, as well as whenever you get into the various aspects of people and their interests. And so sports obviously represent a huge interest for people and they really get into it. And so growing up in the South, especially where football, people go crazy with football, college football, NFL, and certainly in my family, basketball. So going to this new country where, yeah, that's not as common. In fact, they actually don't even they don't even call basketball. They call it netball. And so they have like a whole different definition. So I would have to tell them, I play basketball. This is what basketball is. And even the rules are very different for them. And so in football, they don't know anything about American way of playing football. Instead, football for them is soccer. So with that being said, I can't answer this question without bringing up pub culture. So what is so big there is you go to a pub as soon as you finish work at 3, Monday through Friday, you go.
Wait. Finish work at 3?
Absolutely. I mean, people there.
Sounds like what Carl does.
That sounds like what happens here at Bufnagle World Headquarters. All right, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I just have to say quickly, this is something that my dad picked up on a few visits that he came. He would say that where Americans live to work, people in London and Europe, they work to live. So they work whatever that looks like, 10 to 3. Then if they're done for the day, they're done for the day. They're off to the pub. I mean, the way of life there is excellent. So they go there to the pub.
Coming soon, Bufnagle, England style, is we're gonna our whole podcast is gonna be like 18 minutes, right? I mean, we're gonna shrink okay.
Well, I mean, I already do the 10 to 3 working, so I might as well, we're already set.
I got you. All right. So they have different hours that they work.
Yeah, absolutely. So then they go to the pub and where their team is playing or just another team, that is a time for them to be together and certainly grab a pint and there they go cheering on football. And so that's definitely a huge culture thing. And I actually lived in West London close to the Chelsea Stadium. And that would be a bustling place where, I mean, people would come out in their blue jerseys and they would be hype at the tube station, the underground. So I would say that they most definitely get into it. They have their bets. That's very common there. And my friends would get really into it. I still don't know anything about cricket, football, or rugby, but I would still go there to support definitely for the pubs. I would feel like that they would have a pub setting and then it would go out on the street. And so it would be a huge energy booster. So yeah, that was my experience.
Wow. All right. So you didn't get it to chance. I think the Rugby World Cup was in London. When were you there, Juju?
2015. So right around that time.
And the Rugby World Cup was then. And Zach, how did England do in the Rugby World Cup in 2015?
That was probably the most disappointing rugby performance by the English national team, as far as I know, since my following of the English national team and international rugby as a whole. It was an extremely disappointing time to be an England rugby fan. If you ask any of my college teammates, they mocked me mercilessly for being an England fan during that tournament. So don't have fond memories of that World Cup. But
all right, so you were in London, and you were your home base there was Kensington at the college. Where was the name of the college?
Yeah, so basically I went with Stanford. They actually obtained a flat in 1983. So that flat functioned as a study center as well as residence hall. So right there in the perfect location. I mean, they got actually the flat in a recession, but right now the same flat would be like 50 million or more. And it actually was right next to Freddie Mercury from Queen. So it was right in that area. And then that area just really shot up in popularity around that time. So,
all right. So you were there, but you had opportunity on either regular weekends or long weekends that you got to do other traveling. When you were studying abroad, there was lots more abroad, right? There are whole other places that you went to.
It was not just the underground.
It was not. Yes, sometimes underwater, right?
That's right. So I did have the experience of going on the Channel, which was absolutely revolutionary. Such a testament to modern day engineering and technology. So that was really special. And I will say that there was such an ability and opportunity to travel just through budget airlines. The Channel wasn't all that expensive. So we're talking like 20, 25 pounds per weekend. So it was just really easy. It was like a no-brainer for me. After I finished with studying on Friday, I would just up and take the Channel to Paris. And so Paris, Amsterdam, right now I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, it was such an easy thing. And I say it so casually, but it was such a privilege to be able to do that and go different places.
You have that now. You're like at a moment's notice, you could hop up and go to Little Rock or Paducah. I mean, these places those are opportunities for you here, Juju.
That's right. I really should take advantage of that more. You're right. Yeah, not near on the same level.
Of Little Rock, yeah.
Well, the Little Rock, don't underestimate Little Rock on a Saturday night. All right, all right. So you spent so you went to some places. You took the Channel. So from London, you drive to the Channel, and the cars drive on a train, or how do you take the train to the Channel? How do you get there? What do you do?
Right. Yeah. So that was definitely one of my favorite things about London. I love the transportation there. I did not miss driving at all. So what I would do is I would leave my flat, walk 5 minutes to the Underground, also known as the Tube, get on there, and then go straight to the airport or the train station, wherever I was going. So basically, London is really unique in that it has about 5 airports and 6 different train stations going different places. So very, very unique, even though it's quite small, but they just pack in a lot. Very dense, and it can't be pretty spread out, but it was very interesting to me just to be able to go wherever. And so I would go to the train station, and then from there we would either take the Channel or go to the airport. But in this case, where I went to Paris, that was one of my favorite trips that I went on. So taking the Channel was something that I had long heard about for a number of years and wanted to go to. And so being able to go underwater the majority of the time from London to Paris, the 2 hours and 20 minutes, give or take, is underwater. But you don't know it. You really don't know anything. There's Wi-Fi. I mean, yeah, it's dark. You don't hear water. You don't know anything, but you just arrive there and there you are. So it was really special to be able to go on that.
Well, okay. So you went to Paris a number of times?
So right now I can say that I've been to Paris 3 times, but my first time I was there was not like I thought it would be at all. So whenever I went there, I had high hopes of seeing the Arc de Triomphe, the Tour de Eiffel Tower. I wanted to definitely see the Louvre. Obviously, I'm botching all the pronunciation. Not that
you're not a native French speaker, so we'll give you credit on that, because I'm not sure we would say them any better. But all right, so
it's the Louvre, right? Is there not a fancy way? I thought that was the fancy way to say it.
I think it probably is. I'm sure a French. We will ask some of our French speakers to send us a little note to have them rate Juju's French, and if they give them a bad rating, if they give you a bad rating, we are going to just discredit their rating. That's what we'll do. So you went there and you were going to go see all these important things.
That's right. Yeah. So there I go. And after I wanted to get a much anticipated crepe, so I wanted to get a Nutella crepe. And then as soon as I did this, we arrived around the nighttime. So got a savory and a sweet crepe, because that's just the way they do it there. You get one with ham and cheese, and then you follow it up with a dessert chocolate.
So is this like a street vendor, like a taco truck, a guy setting up outside? How do you do it?
Very much so. You can certainly get the crepe in the restaurant setting, but a lot of times I would just get them on the street, just like pay €2, wait 2 minutes, get a crepe, and just walk with it. So yeah, that was the best part of Paris, I would say. One of the best parts.
So you get crepes. So they are like these really, they take the batter and they pour it onto this, hot plate, and then there's a special stick that they smooth it out with, right?
That's right. I always loved
Right?
watching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen them do this, and then they once it's done, they kind of pick it up. Do you put stuff inside it and eat it like a taco, or what?
absolutely. Nutella and banana, always my go-to.
All
Yes,
right,
that's
all
right.
right. So Nutella and banana crepes, and so you got your crepes,
Got my crepes, and
and
then I said, okay, next on the list for sure is Eiffel Tower. So go to the Eiffel Tower, and this is something that I had been wanting to go to since 8th grade French class, where I first learned how to make crepes, and where I had like the little keychains all over the shirts with the Eiffel Tower. And so here I was years later, actually being able to see it in person. So go around 10:30 at night, because the beauty of
yeah. I mean, so I mean, if you haven't, those people who have been there, they know exactly what you're looking at. And but if you haven't been there, it was astonishing to me how big that thing is. I mean, I remember we were like, if you know what it looks like, it's kind of like very wide at the bottom, and then it goes narrow and gets up. It's this beautiful smooth curve, but there's like an arch underneath that holds the legs together. Okay, that arch there. We were at a hotel right near the Eiffel Tower, and we were in a conference room like on the ninth or 10th floor, and we could still see underneath that arch. I mean, that arch is monstrous, and that's just the bottom quarter or the bottom third. This thing is really, really, really tall. All right, so you get there at night, like, and it's getting late now. Even for Paris standards, it's getting reasonably late.
I would say so. Absolutely. Yeah. So it was around that time, but we were trying to time it right, because I knew at the top of every hour, the Eiffel Tower at night sparkles for 5 straight minutes, and it's just dazzling. Such an incredible experience. So that's what I was really excited for. So we ended up paying. At that time, the queue wasn't very long, so it was really nice just to pay and then get in line and then take the elevator. And then, as you know, there are various levels. So there's like the first level, and then there's the middle, and then the top level with the restaurant. So we just wanted to go big and just go to the top. So we ended up getting on and then going to the top. And then eventually, whenever we got there, we were able to see all the lights. The Paris, some people say it's the city of light, some people say it's the city of love. I think it's both for sure. But then whenever we got to the top, we were able just to see everything, and it was just absolutely incredible. We were up there for about 15 minutes, and then we started getting notifications on our phone. Those that had phones, we started getting notifications from parents saying, "Hey, where are you?" We didn't think anything at the time. We were just like, okay, they're just probably checking up on us. And also in the background, we were hearing lots of sirens. Well, being in London for the past several months, at that time, sirens were nothing to me. It's just a busy, bustling city. I was just used to them. I kind of even drowned them out a lot. So whenever we were hearing lots of sirens, didn't think anything about it. But then eventually, whenever we were saying, oh, we're on the Eiffel Tower, parents were responding, have you seen the news? Well, we're doing the touristy. We're not thinking about the news. We don't know anything else, just being on the top. Well, we began to be filled in that there had been one terrorist attack at that time that had struck about 2 kilometers away from where we were at the Eiffel Tower, sort of more at the center of the city. Well, 5 minutes later, we got another notification that another bombing had happened, another shooting had happened, where people very tragically had died because there was an area where they were being attacked. So at this time, 20 minutes had passed, and 50, 75 police officers rushed to where we were on the same level of the Eiffel Tower where we were, with their guns at every angle, at every direction. And we didn't know what to do. So we said, we'll just stay here. And actually they blocked the exit, so we didn't have any other option. But the craziest thing was, and eventually there ended up being 3 different sites that were targeted and attacked very, very sadly. And it was just a crazy experience for me and all of my group, being at the top of the Eiffel Tower and having that perspective of just complete chaos below, the dazzle of the lights, the incredible monument that is the Eiffel Tower, and then knowing that everything was going on, all the commotion, a tragic incident of around 100 people that ended up passing away due to this. First night there, obviously it was a shock to us. And so as soon as we were done, it ended up just being really crazy experience. We were able to leave at that time around midnight. We caught the last metro back to our hotel. And from that point on, started getting emails because, passports, the American embassy knew that we were there. We started getting demands and basically saying that we needed to be on lockdown from that point on. Here it is Friday, knowing that we'll leave Sunday, but then there was talk that we would have to stay longer just because of the unknown of the situation.
So you go back to your hotel, you check in with your parents, so the embassy's letting you know that things are on lockdown. So eventually you made it back to London later, but what's that experience done to you with regard to, I don't know, I guess it being alert and being self-aware when in large cities and in crowds? Has that had any strong lasting effects on you?
I would say so. Absolutely. I mean, it was definitely hard to process because I found the experience to be, in a way, slightly traumatic. Just understanding that we were at the Eiffel Tower, so we were safe. But had we been somewhere else, had we been at one of the other sites or wherever we had been, I felt definitely protected. I felt spared, and I felt very grateful for that. But other people weren't so lucky. And so I think, generally speaking, being able to say it certainly has made me more aware. Being in London, we were always on alert by the Metropolitan Police there, and there would be all across the tube, there would be messages saying, see something, say something. Anytime we saw something suspicious, that might have been, a luggage that was left behind or a backpack or anything, we were told to be aware. So I think that was something that was always on my mind. And certainly the way that I walked around and the way that I just went about my day-to-day life, I would say for sure made me more aware, made me more, even if we were to turn it a bit more philosophical, but just thinking more about the brevity of life and just being grateful for life and just how we can't take any day for granted, any hour for granted. And so I think understanding too that my life was largely comfortable, if you will, and in America, and then being in a big city, you just don't know what can happen. And so I think that was something that for sure got me more aware, made me more aware.
But that didn't stop you guys from continuing your life adventure. You guys did other things. You went to other cities and had other adventures.
Absolutely. I mean, we definitely had to I think we even wanted to take a trip the week after, but we ended up just taking a breather and just saying, okay, that was a lot. We all had varying scales of dealing with the situation. Some were just ready to move on, but others really did have to have some debrief time to really think about what happened and talk that out. But absolutely, I mean, there were definitely more trips after that, which was good. And I ended up going 2 weeks later and spending Thanksgiving there. My parents ended up coming, and of course they don't have Thanksgiving there. So we had already planned a trip to Paris. So 2 weeks later, I was able to go again, and it was still really fresh for me and still raw just going back, but being with my parents had like an extra layer of security and comfort, I would say. And they were able to walk through that with me, which was good.
So you went and you had turkey dinner in the finest restaurants in Paris.
Funny enough, we talk about this quite often, but we ended up having Italian in Paris on Thanksgiving night. So that was.
I tell you, I have been to Paris twice. I'm still one down from you, but the best meal I ever had in Paris was at a little Italian restaurant along somewhere. It was phenomenal.
Is that because you're not a fan of Parisian food, or is that because you really like Italian food?
Well, I mean, probably. Yes, it's probably both of those things, but it was phenomenal. I'd been walking all day. I mean, like you do that, right? You walk a lot and you ride the whatever the subway is there, and I found this place. I was by myself, and it was when I went there, I was by myself. I was teaching a class, and at night I would go out and do these things and fake my way through the French. And I learned that like polo was chicken, right?
That's Spanish.
Okay. Spanish. All right. Well, I went to Spain too. All right. So, but I would learn. No, I didn't go to Spain. Isn't French chicken something like polo?
I don't know, actually. I wish I did.
All right. Well, I got close enough that I'm going to look it up on this interweb while we're going.
To be fair, though, chicken isn't as popular there. It's more ham.
Is
So
it
yeah.
okay? Well, anyway, I was able to read enough to order in. It's Paulette.
Oh,
It's like
close.
pole.
Wow, look.
It's like pole. It's got that pole thing in it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so all right, so I was able, but I did that. I was able to order, and this very very accommodating gentleman took my order and provided me with something wonderful. I forget what it was, but
Mhm.
so that was great. But have you been to other European cities and anything exciting happened there?
Yeah, so I really, really enjoyed Copenhagen. I thought that was a really, really awesome place. Super aesthetic there. Their way of life is very sustainable, and I really liked Copenhagen. I would say that the places that I went to, even Barcelona was one of my favorite places just for their laid back lifestyle and very much incorporating the siestas, which is a true stereotype I can tell from my experience. And so that was really special. Their cuisine there is just off the chart, so good. And also one of my favorite places was Lisbon, Portugal. And this was one of those places I will tell you that I actually went with my mom there because she had all these ideas of Portugal thanks to our favorite game show, Wheel of Fortune. And so they would send, that's one of the favorite places that they send people to Portugal. And so they would always say, oh, you spin the wheel and then they land on a trip, or it's the prize puzzle round. They solve the puzzle. Then they go, oh, we're sending you to Lisbon, Portugal. So after all of our years, I mean, we're talking 25 years and counting of me watching Wheel of Fortune and my parents, them as well. So my mom had all these high hopes of Portugal. We go there. Certainly really colorful, great history, but definitely I would say like in a way rundown, but in a way that is quite charming. So we found the people there to be really nice and really good food. So one night, actually the first night that we got there, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's always like the first night when I arrived to places, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? So we get there, we check into our Airbnb, then we go for a nearby cafe experience where we order, oh my goodness, the best
Zach,
paella.
that's the difference, Zach. That's the difference. You and I go to dinner. She goes for a cafe experience. Okay, that's the difference right there.
Well, you go to
So
Paris
European.
and you eat Italian food, so I'm not really sure if your opinion warrants any weight.
I shouldn't. It shouldn't let me travel. All right. So you have your cafe experience in Portugal.
That's right, with seafood, sangria. So we are there outside, wonderful weather. It's really incredible. So there we are. We're sitting with our waiter. He's really great for us because we're two Americans here asking so many questions about the Portuguese menu. And I'm there with my tote, which, side note, they don't take really purses. They don't take handbags. They take canvas totes. So that's where you tote around all your items, passport, you got your wallet, everything. So I'm there with my tote, what I thought was under my chair, because I knew at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. I've been in Europe for about 10 months now. Like I know what it's like to be here, but that was not such a great, I think, perspective to have, because what that comes with letting your guard down. So getting there.
Pride cometh before the fall. I think I see where this is going.
Yes,
All right.
that is right. So there I am. I'm several sips into my sangria. We're so enjoying the wonderful seafood paella that we're having, talking, great. So we're there, and all of a sudden, a few minutes in, we hear this huge commotion. So don't know what's going on. And this woman had run towards us. So she was right near us, women probably like in her 60s. And she was just speaking to us in constant Portuguese. And we don't know what she's saying, but then she starts incorporating charades into what she was saying and pointing to below my chair where my tote, I thought it was, but it wasn't at this time. And all of a sudden she starts pointing below my chair, then pointing down the street to a man who at this time I look behind me, he's running off with my tote. I didn't think anything else but to jump up out of my chair and sprint. I didn't do track. I didn't do anything. I ran the fastest I've ever run in my life because my whole life is in that tote.
I got to make sure I get this right. I got to get this right, because this is so this is you are chasing a grown man
Yes.
who has
through the streets of Lisbon. This is like out of a Matt Damon movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like Jason Bourne comes out and rescues you. What did you track him down? Did you chase him?
Yeah. So what I did was I'm telling you, this was like supernaturally quick, and I get to him, but even before, I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 4 yards away, something like that, and I just yell, "Drop it! Drop it! Drop it!" I mean, he speaks Portuguese, I speak English, but I was so emphatic at this point, so passionate for him to just drop my tote that I get within probably like 3 feet away from him, and he drops it. He just completely drops it. And I was shocked. I did not see that coming. If you had asked me how I thought this would end, that's not what I would say, because I just thought that was gone. Like, that was just, there was no turning back. I wasn't getting back what was in there. And then he ended up just dropping it. Didn't take anything out of my bag. Everything was intact. So ended up coming back to going back to the cafe where we were. And there's like a whole thing, lots of other details, because we actually think, although I'm like I believe the best in people, but we ended up thinking that our waiter was in on it too, which was like a whole nother experience because he was acting really iffy. And so, but this is the best part of the story. The woman who was watching out for us, who was nearby, she had seen the scene of us. She was at a bench and she had seen him take the tote and then came to our rescue. We still to this day see her as an angel that really helped us. So yeah.
That is phenomenal. I can imagine somewhere tomorrow afternoon, somewhere in Portugal, there's a guy who's going to be interviewed on a podcast, and they're going to say, "Tell us about the time the crazy American girl chased you across Portugal." All right, that's what's going to happen. Hats off to you for taking that and standing up for your stuff. I mean, he shouldn't take your stuff, and I'm glad you. What would you have done had you caught him? Did you think about that?
Had I caught him?
Had you actually caught him and the bag? I mean, were you ready to like do a Charles Bronson on him? Or what were you going to do?
I didn't even think that far. I really didn't. And I didn't even think, like, what if he, turned a knife on me? That was obvious. That was my mom's thought. And she was like, "Oh my, what is my daughter doing?" But there was no stopping me. There really wasn't. And so, yeah, it was a crazy experience. But
let nobody think that Julianna is a pushover. All right. You've established yourself as a woman that is not to be messed with, and that
our most colorful guest yet, I think.
Yeah, I think so. You know what? Bob may be flying rockets and stuff like that, but he ain't chasing down guys in Portugal.
Yeah.
Right? That's we'll have to get him on this one. All right. So, wow, this is great. So you got your bag back, you finished up your dinner, and
yeah, Portugal was still a great trip. Yeah, we didn't let that cloud over our trip overshadow it. It ended up still being a great experience.
Excellent.
Right. Awesome. That's fantastic, Julianna. These stories have been wonderful. It's been wonderful to talk with you. But one final question before we let you go is, what advice do you have to our listeners based on your experiences on how they can go pursue their own adventure of life?
Yeah, so this is really a great question that I would definitely say that whenever it comes to the adventure of life, I just say go for it. Whatever that looks like to you, whether it's going across the bridge to the next state over, or whether it's booking a trip to somewhere really exotic, I definitely say go for it, or just honestly live your best life in terms of doing what you think you're good at and what you're passionate about. And for me personally, I think the way I see this is spreading joy and being a positive light and going about your workplace or your home life or your travels and being who you are. And so I would say that for sure is something that I try to be mindful of in my day-to-day life. And I think looking back on my experiences, I would say that the yeses that I said yes to, as opposed to, let me see if I can get this right. I had it written down, but I am very glad that I said yes to going on trips or doing things with people rather than spending a few hours extra experiencing a writer's block or, at my desk or doing more work. I'm very grateful for the life experiences that I said yes to. And those are something that I will never regret.
Well, that is wonderful, Julianna. This has been a phenomenal visit. We really we are humbled that you were able to join us, and we loved having you here, and I cannot wait till we get to see you again.
Absolutely. This has been a great opportunity. Thank you guys so much. Huge fan. Keep it going. This is awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Honored.
Yes, thank you, Juliana. Our favorite self-proclaimed sociologist. Again, to all those listening, thank you for listening. Rafe, thank you for joining me in Studio A here in Minneapolis. Again, go seek the good, be the good, and spread the good. Enjoy the adventure of life.